The Arcades Project, an unfinished non-fiction book by German philosopher Walter Benjamin, was published posthumously in 1999. Benjamin worked on the book from 1927 until his death in 1940, aiming to provide an architectural and cultural history of 19th-century Paris. The title refers to the arcades, covered pedestrian walkways in Paris adorned with shops and gas lamps that illuminated the corridors at night. In the Arcades Project, Benjamin offers a unique approach to writing about civilization, focusing on the discarded remnants of society rather than its artistic masterpieces and exploring history from the perspective of ordinary people. Initially conceived as a newspaper article, the Arcades Project expanded in scope over the years. Benjamin, who was Jewish, was forced to leave Nazi Germany in 1933 due to the rise of Nazism. He sought refuge in Paris and spent most of the following 7 years there. During his time in the city, Benjamin entrusted the manuscript of the Arcades Project to author George Butterley. However, as the threat of Nazi occupation loomed over France in 1940, Benjamin found himself without a safe haven. Unable to secure passage to the United States and facing the prospect of falling into Nazi hands, he tragically chose to end his own life through a deliberate morphine overdose. The book is divided into 36 sections, referred to by Benjamin as convolutes, a term that conveys the idea of bundles or sheaves. Through his exploration of the arcades, Benjamin symbolically reflects on the loss of Paris's cultural and architectural heritage during the latter half of the 19th century. This loss was brought about by extensive renovations commissioned by Napoleon III and executed by Georges Eugene Haussmann between 1852 and 1870, a period known as the Second French Empire. During the Second French Empire, from 1852 to 1870, the city of Paris underwent a significant transformation under the direction of Georges Eugene Haussmann, commissioned by Napoleon III. This involved the demolition of most of the narrow arcades in favor of wide avenues, intended to alleviate issues such as overcrowding, crime, and disease. As a result, out of the 300 arcades that once thrived during what Walter Benjamin considers Paris's cultural pinnacle, only 30 remain today. While the arcades may not have possessed the utilitarian or aesthetic appeal of other architectural styles of the time, they held immense significance for Benjamin. Serving as early prototypes of shopping malls, the arcades represented a profound shift in Western society from a culture centered around production to one focused on consumption. Benjamin describes them as glass-roofed, marble-paneled corridors stretching through entire blocks, a collective endeavor of building owners. Along these corridors, elegant shops lined both sides, creating a miniature world within the arcade where customers could find everything they desired. Within the arcades, Benjamin identifies the figure of the Flaneur, originally coined by French poet Charles Baudelaire. The Flaneur is depicted as a passionate wanderer, a modern artist-poet who keenly observes the bustling life of the city. They embody characteristics of an amateur detective and investigator of urban spaces, reflecting both the allure and alienation fostered by the city and capitalist society. As an avowed Marxist, Benjamin sees the arcades as symbolic remnants of a bygone era of consumerism, a time before capitalism's global dominance in the 20th century. The arcades, in his view, the urban landscape like caves containing the fossilized remains of a vanished creature, the consumer of the pre-imperial era of capitalism, the last dinosaur of Europe. Following Haussmann's extensive renovation of the city, the arcades still existed, but they were relegated to the shadows, overshadowed by the grandeur of the newly created avenues and boulevards. Consequently, the arcades underwent a transformation, shifting from centers of consumerism to hubs of intellectualism. At places like the Passage de l'Opéra, early surrealists such as André Breton would gather to engage in lively debates about their artistic craft and the future of art. Benjamin acknowledges the significant influence of the arcades on the development of Surrealism, stating, "Dada was the mother of Surrealism. Its father was the arcade." He refers to Dadaism, an artistic movement that preceded Surrealism, which sought to reject the rationality and logic of the modern capitalist world. Surrealism inherited many of Dada's principles while adding a focus on dreams, a quality that Benjamin directly attributes to the fantastical and dreamlike atmosphere of the decaying arcades, which often served as the living spaces for many surrealists. Expansive and thought-provoking, the Arcades Project provides an unfiltered glimpse into the mind of one of the most brilliant thinkers of the 20th century. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.